going to be very basic. So here's a PIR, passive infrared. Here's your alarm. Okay, so let's say there's 10 zones on this alarm. And what you'll find is there'll be so many inputs. I've just had a slurp of my my whiskey and a spoonful of my curry. So there's more circuits than this on a PIR, but for the sake of it, let's say for instance that's the alarm loop. Now don't forget, this is a takeover situation where there's got old detectors in and a new panel, and that is your tamper. If you did it with new detectors, it would be a lot easier. So you usually get 1, 2 and a common, 3 common, 4, etc. So there is zone 1 and 2 with a common wire. So what we would do is we'd come out of zone 1 into the tamper. So the tamper's a push button like so. So if you push the button, it makes a short circuit. Here, coming out, you would need to put a resistor. And I'll go into the values. Then you would come into the detector. You would need to put another resistor across the detector, and then back. I hope I'm making this clear enough. Back to common. So imagine it like water. Water would go up this zone, up this wire, through the tamper, because the tamper's made, through the resistor, over onto the alarm side. Now, if the alarm circuit is, let's say for instance, closed circuit, which means nobody walking around, it would short out that resistor. It would short out that resistor and then allow the water to flow back down and across. Okay, so I think you've probably got that. If you ain't, put some more comments down, put them on YouTube rather than leaving text messages, because I'm a devil for text messages. Right, so on the old system you would have 6 wires going into a detector. You've changed the control panel, you've got old detectors. Forget these resistors down here. I'm just trying to assume that this is an old detector, and that would basically be the layout. Forget data, that wouldn't be on an old detector. You'd have positive, negative, alarm, loop, and tamper loop. So on my last video I said you could put the resistors in to make them comply with the new type alarm panels. So on the new alarm panels you would still have positive and negative supplying power to the detectors. You would bring one wire all the way back from the alarm panel, so all the way around, in through the back of the detector, usually through one of these holes here. Right, so your 4-core or your 6-core comes in. You would wire one wire to the open side of this tamper. I'm just moving that out of the way, sorry. Into there. When the lid goes on, it puts a short against that tamper, then lets power come all the way through this resistor. Forget what the resistors are, it doesn't matter, it's a resistor. all the way down into the alarm. Then, if the alarm is open circuit picking up something, the power wouldn't be able to go across that switch there because it would be open circuit. It would then go round. I left these deliberately long so you can see them. This would go round the resistor into the wire next to it and then back to the panel. So it would add these two resistors in series and give you a value of both of them. Because they're in series, let's say RT, which is the resistance total in series, equals R1 plus R2. So let's say, for instance, this was 2K. I know it's not 2K. If this was 2K and that was 2K, if that detector was open circuit, it would see a total of 4K across there. If the tamper lid was took off, there would be no circuit across here, so it would go open circuit, so it would see infinite resistance or i.e. no resistance at all. So that's basically how these detectors work. Right, so I'm going to expand on that one because we know these come out of here. So let's turn the page. Let's make sure there ain't nothing on this page that's going to... No, okay. So let's expand this detector. Here it is. Big detector. So there's two. There's more than this, but for the sake of it, we got a normally open and a normally closed. That's your tamper switch. Right, so you've got your cables going up here into there. Right, here, if we put a resistor, let's say for instance, 2, we call it 2 ohms. It's a lot more than that. It's usually about 2K, 4K, 2.2K, whatever. That goes into that. So this resistor is physically wired across to that zone. So that's your alarm side, and that's your tamper. Here, there needs to be another resistor, and this is called a shunt resistor. Right. And it comes back down, all the way back to the panel. So let's see what happens. Let's say, for instance, this is 2. Now, for the sake of it, we can see that that's open, which means the PIR, passive infrared, is picking up movement. So if it's picking up movement, let's see what the value of the resistor is. We're going to say 2, but if I say 2000, that's going to be okay. So it got all the electric goes up through the tamper switch into that resistor. Now, instantly it's added 2000 ohms onto that circuit. So with the detector open circuit, it's not shorted across, it's adding another 2000 ohms that come back to there. So the return resistance across there, those 2 points, is 4000 ohms. Right, so here's the next scenario. If the detector is what we call closed circuit and there's no one walking about, this is what we say. Put the detector in there again. I'm deliberately making big, so I mean, I've got enough lines on the paper anyway. Here's my 2. So here's your tamper switch. Here's the cable going up. Here's a resistor across, which is 2K. Goes into there. This time, there's nobody walking around, so that switch is across. Here's the resistor, which is a shunt resistor. And then this comes all the way back to the panel. So let's follow it this time. Another slab. Right, so power goes up to there. Tamper switch is made because the cover's on the detector. It goes into this resistor and it instantly sees 2000 ohms. It comes out of the resistor and then it goes across an infinite resistive load, which is short circuit. So it goes across there. It doesn't see that resistor because that's shorted out by that switch now. So it then goes back down to the alarm panel, and the measurement across these 2 points here in the alarm panel is 2000 ohms or 2000 ohms. So this panel is designed, or the programming that you set it to is designed that if you see 4000 ohms, it'll go off into alarm. Let's bring that page back. Right, let's get this back in focus. Right, so this is a detector that's picking up something. It's open circuit up here. So it's coming across here through the tamper switch. 2000 ohms it sees there, comes into that point there for the micro switch. It can't go across there because it's picking up movement, so it's going through the resistor. It's adding another 2000 ohms, coming back down here. So the panel now sees 4000 ohms. And that would be an alarm state. And the panel would know that because of that resistive load. Back to this one. Let's get it in focus because I'm looking at the page, not the camera. All right, power goes up. PIR, passive infrared. This is closed circuit, so there's picking up no movement. It goes through there, through the tamper switch because the tamper switch covers on. It goes into a resistor. It adds 2000 ohms. It comes into the alarm side of the micro switch. Now, because it's closed circuit, there's picking up no movement, that switch is closed. So it can't see that resistor there, 2000 ohms. So it bypasses and sees 0 ohms. So it adds 0 ohms onto 2000 ohms and carries it through all the way back to the alarm side. So at the alarm side, you get this scenario, 2000 ohms, I just came in 1000. So that means that is closed circuit, which means it's okay. Right, now let's have a look what happens if somebody takes the lid off this detector. So I've got to be honest, if they're playing with the lid, let's go on to this one. If they're playing with the lid, it's going to be picking them up anyway. But this is in the daytime when the system's off, so it needs protection on that device. So nobody can come in and put a bit of cotton wool in, so the detector won't work, it won't see anybody. So let's have a look here. So power goes up into the first terminal of the micro switch for the tamper. Now, if the lid was took off, that button would be pushed down here, and you would get an open circuit which the power couldn't flow across. So now it's seeing infinite resistance. So power can't go into there, can't go down there, can't bypass one of these, can't come and can't return to this point. So it now knows that if it's got infinite resistance, that's going to go off into tamper. So that would be into tamper. And that's all it is to the alarms. Easy. Any questions? Just pop me a comment, ask me the questions, There is different values to these because it does depend on what panel you fit in them. On the newer panels, you will find that these can be anything, and you can tell the panel what it is. But you usually get, let's go back over to this one. Normal configurations is 2K2 and 4K7. So ohms. So what that means is that means 2,200 ohms, and these are usually about 10%. That's 4,700 ohms. So you can see that when that goes into an alarm, what it will say is on this one, you add them together because it's in series. So you got 6K9. So in alarm, it's in 6,900 K ohms. Anyway, that's helped. Thank you.